Welcome back to the channel. This is Wasabi. This is just a short video on the changes to equipment in the new patch 1.10.1. So a few players have complained that their equipment's disappeared. So we're just going to go through the changes here that are in the release notes for the new patch. I'll put the link to the release notes in the below. But here we got they call it improvements to equipment 2.0, but yeah, take that at face value. Okay, so first of all, and this is the thing that's bothering players, equipment of an inappropriate class for tier 2 to tier 7 vehicles will be demounted once the update is released. What does that mean? That means that there's relates to the new categories of equipment. So category 1 is for tier 8 and above. Category 2 is for tier 5 to tier 7, and category 1 from tier 2 to tier 4. Obviously tier 1 doesn't use equipment. We're going to have a look at the actual equipment interface after this. So what it means is that if you've been running equipment and you haven't changed it when equipment 2 came in the last patch, it gave you an up arrow indicator on the equipment slots indicating that that equipment was for a higher tier. That didn't mean it didn't work, it just meant that you could use that on a higher tier vehicle and therefore using a more expensive piece of equipment compared to the tier that you had that equipment mounted on. So what does it say? It says it'll be demounted once the update is released. So as of the update, which is now running, they've been demounted. It won't have cost you anything, whether that's gold or demounting kits. That's being done for free, but it's being put in your store. Oh, sorry, your depot, I should say. The store is where you buy things. The depot is where your equipment that you purchased sits that you're not using. A couple of other things we'll have a look at. The vehicle configuration screen interface was improved. It now displays shell prices and improved indicators for different ammo types. We'll have a quick look at that. We implemented drag and drop as a way to change the order of shells in the ammo rack we'll look at, and other interface improvements and bug fixes are made. All right, so let's go and have a look at the interface. Let's just clear this up, and here I've got a tank that has equipment on it. Now, this is how I found it when I started the thing. So this tells me that the equipment on here was suitable for this particular class. You can see class 2 for the modified configuration, class 2 for the binocs, and class 2 for the improved rotation mechanism. So it's a tier 5 vehicle, and that's the appropriate class for there. If I pick another vehicle that I had equipment on, let's take my KV1. I probably took the equipment off that, the KV220. All it's got left is the rammer, which again, class 2 indicates that was the correct item for that. And I did have the indicators on the equipment there previously saying it was for a high tier. So those 2 slots are now vacant. So what that means is that equipment's gone to the depot. So let's have a quick look at the depot just to show you where to look. And here in the depot, we'll change this to stock, which is the things that you've got in your depot that aren't being used, so not mounted on a vehicle. And you can see you've got an all view, an equipment view, consumables, modules, shells, crew books, etc. So we'll switch that to equipment just to narrow it down. And you can see here the indicator just above my mouse arrow, mouse pointer, the quantity that you've got in your store. So that means if you go and request that through the equipment interface, you'll get it mounted, it won't cost you anything. Here's indicated the sell price. If I want to sell that, that's what I'll get for it. Now that's one of my bond equipment, so that must have been on an inappropriate vehicle and demounted. I perhaps didn't realize that. But again, it's saved me the cost of bonds to move that, so that's come in handy. But here I've got 25 enhanced gun laying drives, class 1. So again, these were class 1 devices that I would have had on all vehicles. So I've got 25 of them, not mounted or anything. If I had them on a tier 8 and above, they would still be there. So they would still be mounted on the tanks. But now I've got to replace the ones that I wanted gun laying drive on, but now I do that with the appropriate class. So if I don't have the credits for that, what do? Well, I can sell these now. So if I choose to sell, I'll get 300,000 credits for that. If I wanted to buy that thing, it would cost me 600,000. That's okay. That's a class 1. Have I got enough class 1s? Yes, I do. So if I want to sell these, I'll get 300,000. What does a class 2 and a class 3 cost? The class 2 costs 200,000 credits and the class 3 cost 50,000 credits. So I can actually buy 2 gun laying drives for my lower tiers, depending on what tier I need them for the price of 1 class 1. So if I want to sell 1 class 1 and get 2 class 2s, well, I have to sell 2 obviously, but I'll end up with spare credit. So if I sell 2 class 1s, eventually I'll be able to buy 3 class 2s, that sort of thing. So if you don't need them because you've got your higher tier tanks already satisfied, I can actually equip all of my lower tier tanks simply by selling these class 1s and turning them into class 2s and 3s as I need them to. So in a sense, I won't say Wargaming done you a favor because you've got to do this extra work, but it has given you the option to say, right, well, I can actually put the appropriate class on my vehicle. I'll actually end up with a few extra credits here and there, and it gives me a chance to think about what do I really want on there and look at the way I use my tank and really decide whether I want to have different equipment on there from what there are today. So that's really the decision you need to make. All right, so that means again, if I want to re-equip a tier 5 or below tank, I've got to then go and look at the equipment slots, which you can go and look at the other videos on as to how to do that and choose the appropriate tier. And then if you need to free up credits, again, come back to your depot and sell the ones that you don't need. So just to give you an example, these are all class 1s. If I go back to my garage view and I go into the equipment slots for this tier 5 and I want the gun laying drive, you'll see I have to buy one here. So it's, sorry, just hover over it. So it's going to cost me $200,000. I can't put a gun laying drive on there without 200,000, which indicates the ones I've got in the store are not going to be shown to me because they're not the appropriate ones for the tier vehicle that I'm looking at. All right, so that's the change to the equipment. So the other things they're talking about are the ability to move around between stuff between the slots. So I can change the order of shells. So if I want my premium shells in slot 1, I can do that quite easily through this drag and drop. And the other thing was if I hover over it, it will tell me the details of the shell and also the cost per shell. So that my standard shells there, 56 credits just under the shell icon and 2,400 for the premium version. And you can see they've put this different iconography on there. So premium ones now get a red line on the outline of the color behind it, just to give you another visual when you're in the tank and you're looking at your equipment, your shell choices. So they're the main changes there for equipment in this new patch. So go back to your tanks and look at your depot, find your missing stuff, sell it if you need to, get your credits that you need to, and then repurchase. And good luck. And if you have any questions, yeah, please put them in the video below and we'll try to answer them as we can. Okay, cheerio.